Welcome back everyone to our coverage of the IAE 2954. Today is, oh geez, is it day 8 already? I believe this is the last of the manufacturers today. This is Anvil, which is a military brand. So for those of you who are really into the heavy combat and maybe even X-Forces yourself, you'll probably appreciate these ships more than the average. I don't have too many strictly military Anvil ships, but I do have at least one or two, so we'll definitely take a look at what we got on offer today and give it all a fair shake. Alright, let's get started. And speaking of which, here's a little spoiler of what we're going to be looking at today. Sorry, my face is covering it. This is a Hornet. But for a lot of people, this is a really exciting day because there's some really great fighter ships. I mean, naturally, given that we're talking about a military company. Here we are. So yeah, Anvil Aerospace. And then tomorrow we're going to be looking at the best in show ships. So I'll explain that for us tomorrow. But for today, we are sticking with Anvil. Here we are. Also, you see the triangular nature of their logo? A bunch of their fighters all sort of incorporate this sort of shape. The actual angles of it, etc. Let's get our butt up here. So, we got this big one in the middle to look at, the Carrick, but we're going to start with these fighters. And we're going to start all the way over here with the F-7C Hornet over there. And then we're going to kind of go counterclockwise, I believe. So yeah, we're starting all the way over here. So this is the base civilian model. This is the upgraded Hornet. You can see it says Mark II. This is I don't want to say a complete redesign, but definitely a modernizing of the original Hornet model. It looks way more sleek and way more fancy, and I love these little pointless lights on the side. They just feel very cool. I will say actually these jets, these completely animate when you're boosting or you're taking off and throttling. These things open and close to manipulate the thrust pressure. Anyway, the civilian model comes with these two ballistic Gatling guns. These are size 4s. And that's all for the weapons. But you can actually modify this to add a module for the nose here. It sticks through this hole here. And also above, let's take a quick look here. There is a spot where a module would go, but as it comes default, that's basically a space to put two cargo boxes up there. I don't know how you're supposed to get up there, but those open and you can put cargo. But that can also be swapped out too. And we'll wait to get inside the Hornet until we look at the last one, I think. So, what else we got here? We have the tracker model. So this one has, instead of any kind of front guns, it has some sort of like sensor system. first people thought maybe it's a camera, but it doesn't quite look like a camera, so probably a sensor, which goes with the whole idea of it. You see there's a sensor dish at the top here, and that allows you to get lots of scanner data, I guess, or detect things from farther away. Good for hunting down particularly hard to find prey. And in speaking of hard to find prey, we have the ghost model over here. So this model also doesn't have any guns up front, just has the ballistics, but instead of a sensor module, it has this section here. I don't know how to describe it, but it's designed to be more stealthy and absorb radio frequencies and not bounce them, I guess. But yeah, if you're looking to reduce your signature in battles, you probably want a stealth ship. But even if you don't have a stealth ship, you can just install stealth components, and those can make a huge difference. So those are both Mark IIs as well, and this one as well. This is the F7A. This is the military version, so it has double guns here at the bottom and at the top. So really huge amounts of BPS alongside the ballistics on the wings. So I just love the military digital camo paint job. Looks really, really nice. The only way to get this one, other than renting it currently, is to have done a event earlier in the year, and that would have earned you a token to upgrade the civilian model into this military version. But don't worry, someday in game there will be ways to work your way up to reputation and buy these things in game as well. So nothing is like set in stone and locked away forever, so don't worry. Alright, here we have a new addition to the show in the game. This is the medical terrapin. The terrapin is an armored turtle-like ship, we often would think of it. The original terrapin is a sensor ship, like for tracking and scanning. But as you can see, it has these sections which can open and close. And the idea was that it can close off its emissions to try to, for at least a certain amount of time, try to stay off anybody's radars. And this model trades out its scanning suite for a medical bed and facilities. You know, you're getting pretty much standard military equipment here. It looks industrial in a certain way, similar to like Drake, but you can just tell everything is just more rigid, more rugged, more protected, more professional. And everything back here, of course, is very clinical. It does also have storage, by the way, up here. Guest storage and crew storage. Oh, and it does actually have a seat here. I wasn't sure that it had any kind of chair for a doctor back here. And I think it might not have had originally, but it does now, so you can actually fit another person to sit back here. Very important, because I wouldn't expect the pilot to also be the doctor when you have component access and whatnot. And it's worth mentioning this is a tier 2 bed instead of tier 3, so better quality medical care. It can heal more injury damage, and longer range for respawns. Okay, so before we handle this behemoth, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the other terrapin. So this is the scanning one. They went ahead and updated the interior of this one as well. So if you're an owner of the ship, you should check it out in Verse and see all the new additions. Like the bed here, the armor storage, the weapon racks, component access, bathroom. I mean, they definitely came through here and redid this. And you can see your relays are protected here. I like that. Although I'd like to see on more casual ships, less protection for relays, and that way it'll kind of distinguish between military ships and civilian ones. But as a military version, this is great that it's covered. I like that. And the rest of the ship is pretty much the same. So now we're gonna talk about this behemoth. The Carrack is kind of a do-everything sort of ship. It's designed for having a bunch of crew. And that's because the pilot, for example, doesn't have guns. There instead are these big turrets on the side. So you want at least a couple turret pilots. I mean, turret gunners. You're gonna need people for the engineering because it's a very large ship. But as we enter here, you'll see that there is pretty decent storage for vehicles and cargo, but this is not really meant for cargo in here. Cargo goes back here. Well, first, we have a docking port with, I think these are suit lockers, or are these escape pods? I think these are suit lockers. I think these are the things that attach to. Anyway, this is the elevator, which we'll be coming back to in a minute. Although there is a rear elevator as well. So these are actually the cargo sections. Here's the elevator, I guess. I'm not sure if we can open these currently or not, but they're currently updating the Carrack right now so that these can be openable. Quite a bit of cargo here, although these may actually be modular in the future. So here's the rear of the ship. There is a rear elevator, but this is where you find the real armory, basically. Guns on both sides, armor racks on both sides. And you go back here and we have, as it says, the aft turret. You can see that goes down. Excuse me, so I had tried to mute myself, but I made the music, sorry. Well, I'm starting to come down with something, so hopefully that won't affect my Monday stream, but we'll see. So here's the front elevator. This is generally where you come to go to the other parts of the ship when you come aboard. So we have habitation and we have technical. So we're going to go to habitation first. Generally, this is where you want to go. This is where you access the bridge, but also the medical. A vast majority of people who are flying this ship are flying it to do all sorts of combat missions. And the first thing everyone says is come into the med bay and come to the digital assistant here and set yourself up as the respawn here. So you go regeneration and you transfer your imprint. And then you have regeneration. So this is a tier 2 med bed. These are just beds. Don't really do anything. They have these fancy sort of office spaces, but nothing here actually does anything either. Before we go back any further, we're gonna go check this side of it. So we have the mess hall here. And this ship actually does really well with the windows. So that's a huge factor for the ship. It's actually a beautiful ship to kind of live in and work on. So this is, you know, the mess hall. Not only for eating, but also a great place for having meetings. Across the way we have the entertainment, but also this leads to the crew quarters, I believe. So here's the bathrooms. one just big long bathroom, which is kind of interesting. This is very military, you know. It's not very luxurious, but it gets the job done. And I mean, that's what the ship is out for, getting the ship done. I mean, getting the job done. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot of beds actually. So if we count them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that all? I mean, that's not a lot. I mean, there is also the captain's quarters, but yeah. This ship is actually designed to be a very long-range exploration and patrol ship. So it has a lot of interesting features, which we'll talk about as we get to the different areas. But one of the features that we can't really show off is it's supposed to have special sensors, which should allow you to detect the temporarily spawning wormholes that will exist in the game. So there's going to be what everyone knows as the jump points, right? But there will be temporarily spawning jump points, and you have a chance of running into them. But an exploration ship like this is especially designed to find those even more readily. So here's the captain's quarters. Nice little desk, their own windows. You know, their own entertainment and stuff. Here's the bedroom. You know, armor storage, whatever. Bathroom. Now this is pretty luxurious to not have the shower and the toilet be the same. Very nice. But that's it. That's what the captain gets. And then we come to the bridge. Now this is actually a two-tiered bridge. So prepare to get excited in a minute. But this is the standard operating position, the pilot seat and the co-pilot seats. Now we're getting blast windows, or blast door thingies for the windows, which will block all these windows except for this very end middle part. So we're not ready to go upstairs yet. Let's go ahead and continue exploring back here. This is an emergency ladder. Window into medical, kind of creepy, but it was frosted. Here's the elevator for the rear that we're talking about. And that's pretty much it, I guess, for this level. So we're gonna go up a step, but let's go ahead and go up from the bridge. Kind of more exciting, and then we can start from this end and go all the way to the end. So we're gonna go to the quote-unquote upper bridge. So we have a couple of stations here. There is at least one remote gunner seat here. I think this one's not a gunner. I think this is for something else. But you do have one gunner seat up here. You do have a mapping table and fleet's combat table. And then you have this sort of interesting command station, which kind of like lets you have an overview of the entire situation. Really kind of cool for a captain to be up here. And actually, you see the controllers here. If you wish, you can pilot the ship right from here. So actually a pretty cool design, I will say. Alright, as we come back here, we have the escape pods. But we we have this door first. So this is the repair room, quote unquote. This is supposed to be like a workstation for you to work on various things, and also it says repair here, but I believe this is supposed to be kind of like a 3D printer. So this is actually a really cool feature. Over here it's supposed to be a drone bay, and these are the drone controller seats. There in the other side, and then the drones basically hang down from these things. So that's very cool. I guess this is a way for the drone to go to the outside of the ship, and in that way you're not venting atmosphere. But it does look like it could hold actually quite a few even more here. Now it does have a tiny little hangar bay. I do mean tiny. Only the very smallest of ships can fit back here. So we're talking a Pisces, we're talking a few Furies, we're talking maybe a 100i. Really not a lot. I mean, the Pisces takes up almost all this space. And there's the cool upper section, so you can kind of look down at it too. So back here, these are actually where you get to the turrets. And these are the real BPS of the ship. I don't think we're going to be able to move it around because we're not going to be able to turn it on. But we get in there and you can have really good field of view.
Hard to believe that the same manufacturer makes all of these. Pretty impressive. I heard that there's
Engineering.
Anvil Aerospace are ready to inspire a new generation of warriors to
You see the other turret is right there. And if we actually come up physically to the back here, this is the proper engineering area. We'll have jump drive, yada yada. So right before there we have this rear elevator, and this will actually let us get to the very, very top section. There's actually some interesting stuff up there. It's called the cartography deck. So here we go. This is a much larger version of the mapping table. But this is not currently usable. We also have this sort of interesting, it looks here, escape pod. And then these are also suit lockers here, because there is external access here to the outside. So this would be out in space normally. You have this kind of neat window here, where you can kind of just see what's going on. So I will say though, this is kind of a security hole. So a lot of times if you're parked in space, and you're not in Armistice Zone, this is how people will board your ship. They'll come down in 0G to this door, and they'll shoot at it with their gun until the door opens, and then bam, they're in. So just be aware of that. Alright, so now we're pretty much ready to get the heck out of here, because this is a pretty big ship, but we've seen it all already. So this used to be, like I said, the big do-it-all ship, whereas now the popular big do-it-all ship is going to be the Polaris. But once this thing gets more of its features, like the workshop and the drones and the mapping table, this thing will try it again. So if you own one and you're wondering if you need to get rid of it, I wouldn't get rid of it if you really love it, because it will get better. Alright, let's go ahead and check out what's downstairs, and then we'll be the side halls. Alright, so we have the ballista. As you can see, it's basically a missile platform, but it does still have a ballistic gun on the front here, a turret. This is a pretty big vehicle. Only certain vehicles in the game can really hold one of these. Like an 890 jump has a big enough pad to hold this, or like one of the C2, M2, A2s, those things could hold this. But, for example, I think it's far too tall for the Polaris. So when you come aboard, immediately gunner seat. This, I believe, is for the missiles. And I believe the turret is just the slave to the pilot here, or the driver, I should say. Component access, your rifles, and that's it. It's really bare bones. It's military, you know? Get in there, get the job done. Now I believe there's a different version of this on the other side. The Centurion. Yep. So this is the gun version. And you can see those are some pretty big guns. I don't know if it counts this now. But to my eyes, those look like size 4s. Maybe size 5s, but I think size 4. Yeah, same interior, same sort of thing. You can see a different sort of gun here for the driver too. The other one was a Gatling gun. This is like an energy cannon. Alright, so we come to our glitch of the day. This is supposed to be showing us the new concept ship, the Paladin. Looks real nice, doesn't it? And then there's this one, but this is not a Paladin. This is a Crucible, which is a repair ship, so we'll look at that as in more detail in a second when we go around the corner. But the Paladin, so it's a new concept ship. It's not in game. It actually looks kind of interesting. So we'll just talk about that for a second here. Basically, think like how do I put it? So it's nearly the size of a constellation. The constellation Andromeda, for example, is a long ship that has lots of cargo space, and the little parapet craft in the back, and it's got the size 4 guns. Well, this like shrinks down by 10 meters, so from like 53 down to 43 meters, I believe, or actually I think it's the Constellation 63, and then the Paladin here is 53, and you have the same guns, but it's like a smaller, nippier package, and then it really doesn't need many people, because the pilot has access to these 4 size 4 guns, as I was saying. There are turrets on both sides of the ship. And then if you have a second person, they can be a gunner, and a gun on top has 4 size 5 guns, which is incredible. So first of all, 2 people, that's incredible DPS. So compare that to like the Hurricane or the Scorpius. The Hurricane has 2 size 4s for the pilot and 4 size 3 guns for the gunner. And the Scorpius has 4 size 3 guns for the pilot and 4 size 3 for the gunner. No, those are heavy fighters, so they'll be more maneuverable than like this Paladin vehicle will be. But still, just the sheer damage that you can output from that Paladin ship against PvE, I feel like the Paladin will outshine both the Scorpius and the Hurricane hugely. It also comes with size 3 shield, so then it just looks kind of armored. Again, it's from Anvil, the military brand, so it should be pretty armored. So all around, the Paladin actually looks quite beefy in terms of its damage. If you had a third person, I would say they're going to be doing engineering when that comes out. But hypothetically, right now, if you put 4 people into the Paladin, the 2 side turrets that normally are slaved for the pilot, those would be controlled by your 2 extra gunners. So technically, you can have 3 gunners, and then they can then shoot in any directions that they need to. Otherwise, if you're just the pilot, you shoot 4 guns straight forward, but they're really powerful ones. And again, with just 1 turret pilot, you have 4 size 5 guns extra, which is huge. So, if I didn't already have too many ships, I would strongly consider this ship, and I still vaguely consider it right now because it's such a good low crew number sort of vehicle. Anyway, let's continue the show. Here we have the, is it the Liberator? Yep, the Liberator. So, this is a transport vehicle. It's, let's just use this area. So it has this sort of, front ramp going on. And it has these pads. So that's like 2 pads on top, 1 pad in front, and the hangar thing opens. And then that means that there's basically 2 more pads on the inside. So this thing really does hold quite a few vehicles. It's not very defendable. It has a turret or 2, but this thing is really vulnerable to attack. But if you're looking to just transport some vehicles, this is basically what people would call the pocket carrier. Now, a lot of people don't like using the term carrier, especially our real-life military folks, because there's really not a lot in terms of facilities on this ship. So it's really not really, it's not a carrier in that traditional, notion. It's more of a transport. A vehicle transport, a cargo transport, but it's just a transport. So, it has a lot of space for transportation, so if that's what you're looking for, this ship, well, it's not in game yet, so you're still gonna have to wait, but this might be exactly what you're looking for. Especially when we get to Pyro, where everything is gonna be far more fuel restricted. Being able to transport your small ships that just can't get there on their own, very useful. Now this thing is actually pretty special. I mean, not only does it look really cool, first of all, let's just appreciate the looks. I feel like this thing came out of Halo or something. Anyway, this is a boarding craft. So the idea is that the pilot that's up here with the co-pilot, they hack into a ship and then they disable it in a certain way where they can manually dock to the ship, and in this area opens and docks. And then inside here you have a bunch of jump seats for all your troops. So you basically hack in, force a docking maneuver, and then you have a bunch of Marines that can board and take whatever vessel that you're fighting. Or at least try. So imagine the Polaris, for example. It's a big ship, but if you don't have a lot of crew in there, it has docking ports on either side, and ships like this in the future will come and forcibly dock with you. They'll probably use quantum dampener or whatnot, and then they do the hack, and then they board you. And if you're not able to fight them off, then your ship becomes their ship. I mean, not permanently, but yeah. Now here is the Crucible. So we get kind of a more interesting view here. Take a look at the top as well. Okay, so this top here, it's all open right now, but it's meant to be closed as well. That's basically a large hangar space, but it's not a hangar, it's more like a repair bay. So you basically park your fighter or similar vehicle in there, and then it has various facilities which will do a full repair. So not just repair beams for the hull damage, but it should be able to 3D print components, like let's say you lose a wing or a fin or something like that. It will actually produce those parts, assuming that you have the materials in there. And in this sort of interesting circular section in the middle, that's where the pilot goes. And what's interesting is that the pilot, who's in that circular section, they're able to rotate their chair all the way around, and they can actually leave the repair bay behind and let it do its work while they go do some other work. So it's a very interesting repair ship, but it's in concept, and it is likely to have some changes before it's done. That's it for the concept ships. Let's head back up then and see what we have in the side halls.
Attention visitors to the Anvil Aerospace Expo. Please take care of your vehicles on display. Remember, they're here for everyone to enjoy.
Yep, coming down with a little something, scratching my throat. But 'tis the season.
Hard to believe that the same manufacturer makes all of these. Pretty impressive.
See why some people love this style. But it's not for me.
Gathering the latest and greatest from manufacturers across the empire. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo.
Now, we'll say with the Hornets, there used to be a bunch of older type Hornets, but they're no longer going to be purchasable in game. Just the antiquated stuff, and then, I mean, that's going to be website only. Alright, so we have a few interesting pieces. We have the F8 Lightning. So the ones we saw outside are the, in the main hall, are the F7, and this is the F8. So this is, this was redesigned specifically for fighting the Van Duel. It features quite a few guns. It's a single seater, but it's got 4 size 3s, I believe, and then 2 size 2s as well. So overall, quite a bit of firepower. Now this one is not purchasable in game. And there's no CCUs for it either, so you can buy it currently during the event, but it's a straight $300, which is painful.
Stuff like this.
However, if you purchase the Squadron 42 game, you're supposed to be able to buy this in game after you complete Squadron 42. Or maybe you do something special in there to unlock it. But basically, you will, if you own the game, you'll be able to get this in game. So you really don't need to buy it on the website. You just need to be patient. And in terms of the Hornet, it has way more defense. In fact, even more defense than the Scorpius. But that's not all. It also has additional range. So it is a heavy fighter. But it's considered pretty decent and a lot of players love him. Also, if you spend a ridiculous amount of money in the game, then CIG will give you a gold-plated one.
They've somehow outdone themselves with their latest lineup.
Not that anybody needs that. So here's the Spartan. So you can see it's kind of like those other vehicles we saw before, but instead of having a weapons platform in the back, it's just a personnel carrier. But, I mean, that's a lot of personnel right there. That's 8 seats. Plus 2 up front, I think. Yeah, no, just 1. But still, that's plenty. So this, I believe, would fit in the Polaris, probably. Because it doesn't have the giant weapon system on top. Alright, now, speaking of combat and weapons and troops and everything, we have the Valkyrie here. One of the best ship names. So this is a gunship, dropship sort of vehicle, designed very much for in-atmosphere. And you can see it has VTOL capabilities with the engines, very important. So you have a big space here for some cargo, but more likely a military vehicle. These 2 side areas open up, and then this gun actually swings out. And so then you can, I can't turn it on, so I can't move it, but then you can move it around and shoot at ground targets. Pretty sure it's just the size 1 gun, but I mean, it does look like it's a Gatling gun, and even against just random NPCs, this thing could just chew them up. Plus, it's behind the ship shields, even with this door open, so ballistics will go through shields, so you can get hit, but it will reduce damage. And if they're using lasers, then it will be completely blocked by the shields. Now there's just a ton of drop seats here. So this is 10 here, and then this is another 10. So that's 20 people. I mean, that's pretty insane. So the ship is pretty expensive, but that's why. Because the life support requirements to make this all work is extreme. Here's a rear turret, nothing special. But since you're often going to be flying in for dropping troops off, having a ground turret is really great. Now there is a upstairs section here, but you'll see there really isn't any way to block off atmospheric escape. So you're really not meant to open and board this thing in space at all. It's really just for ground. So here's the upper turret, I believe.
Yeah, they've done a good job. And knowing their full history makes what they're showing.
You have some beds, some more beds. You have a tiny little station for making some food. You have a bathroom. Another bed. So that's only 5 beds, but 20 people could be carried here. And then these are also gunner seats here. So again, it's a very cool dropship gunship. Very cool sort of armored door. So this is a pretty expensive ship in the verse for what it offers, people would say, but given just how many people it can hold, that's partially why it's so expensive. The drop ship CAX. Yep, and you're paying for that. So the Paladin, by the way, it looks very similar in shape to the ship. So kind of a boat, but again, having 4 size 4 guns for the pilot and then 4 size 5s for your gunner. I mean, even in a shape like this, against PvE, the Paladin is just gonna melt everything.
Hi. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with.
I dare say, even with the Polaris, the Paladin is something to be a little bit envious of, because it'll be just so quick to get into these battles and just melt things. So it's going to be a great choice for smaller missions. Alright, here we have the final choices for the night. We have, first of all, an absolute staple in the light fighter category. This is the Arrow. One of the most maneuverable ships in the entire game. Especially for its power level, its gun size. And it does have a little mini turret above, but it is single-seater. This ship is not only favored by super maneuverable light pilots, but it's also favored by low flyers. People who fly like mere feet away from the ground and give everyone nightmares. They love this ship. Here we have the Gladiator, yeah. So it's called a bomber, but it's basically a heavy, or I should say medium fighter. I think it's a medium fighter, but it does have a couple torpedoes in there. Hence why they called it a bomber. Yep. I think actually it does use a pilot, a gunner, for the turret up here. So this is a 2-seater if I recall. Let's just double check that real quick. Oh yeah, gunner seat. And then the pilot on the other side. You know, it's kind of bossy looking. Not everyone's into it, but it is a decent ship actually. Okay, so here in the middle, we have 2 really interesting shuttlecrafts. Let's look at it here from the front first. So these are the C8 Pisces. This is the standard C8, I believe. No, this is C8X. The X, by the way, just means it has these extra guns back here. So it has 2 up front and then 2 in the back. So a little more DPS. And then we have the R for rescue. As you can see, no guns over here. So I XL both of them because I feel like these are excellent shuttlecraft. And they also have some kind of Star Trek sounding sound effects to them. So this is just a tier 3 bed, but pretty decent for just minor things, or if you need to be a hospital ambulance ship, I should say. If you just need to bring somebody who's bleeding out to like a larger proper ship, this will work well. Medical station. This is also where you refill the medical station with materials, but that's gonna come later. Also has storage here for the patient and the crew. love this little UV thing.
The other halls are better.
But overall, just a really, really cute ship. And then next to it, we'll look at the C8X. This is more like your standard actual shuttle.
Same manufacturer makes all of these.
So it has some storage space for some boxes on both sides with walking ability. It has drop seats. So you can have 2 different people here. But you can actually just not put any cargo here and just have, another like 6 people standing around. You might not have the life support for it, but typically you're just flying this. If you're using this as a shuttle, you're using it from a larger ship and they can just wear their helmet and have their air. No big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, a really great just little shuttlecraft. Just makes me think Star Trek.
A lot different than I imagined.
Alright, and now the last 2 here. We have the Hawk. Now this is very interesting because all the wings fold out. Some fold up, some fold down. This thing actually has 6 guns on it, but some of them are size 3, some are size 2, and I think a couple are size 1s maybe. So it's not actually super DPS these days. Back in the day it actually kind of was, given that it had more guns than anything else, but nowadays there are other ships that are more powerful. But it's all single seater, so that's 6 guns for 1 person. It also says it's very interesting entry method where the hatch comes down and then we get pulled up into the seat. And then there's a secret little gun rack here that most people don't know about. So you can store a rifle there, perfect. Now what people do know about is that there's a prisoner pod back here, or I should say pod holder. So this is with it currently out, and then you basically have a pod here and you'd attach it like magnetically or something. And then you go over here and you close the button. And then they are safely here in this security pod. And then that's basically how you pick up your prisoners. So if you're into early bounty hunting, this isn't a feature yet. We don't have prisoner pods and ways to take people warm or whatnot. But if that sounds like your kind of gameplay, this might be your kind of ship actually. And then we have the Hurricane. This is a 2-person just melting ship. So it's a heavy fighter, 2 sides, 4 guns for the pilot, but it's already pretty darn good. But 4 more size 3s here for the turret gunner who gets in over here. And it's pretty tanky. It's a bit like, given its design, it's a bit more of like a tank than the Scorpius, for example. But the Scorpius, its advantage is that its turret is a remote turret, and then someday you'll be able to control all of its guns as a pilot with a computer blade. Whereas this will pretty much always require 2 people. Although one of those people could be an NPC someday, so, it's not completely lost out. And then even as a single person, 2 size 4 guns are pretty darn powerful. But if you're just looking for, PvE battling, this thing is outshined instantly these days with this new Paladin. But thankfully the Paladin's not in the game yet, it's just in concept, so for now this is still a real powerhouse. Alright, and that's pretty much the end of our coverage. This is the last manufacturer for the event, but tomorrow we'll actually be covering the Best in Show ships. These are ships that people voted for among a bunch of different ships earlier this year. And the best of the best get chosen, and if you own them or if you buy them during the event, you'll get a special skin for them. That's limited time. So we'll go ahead and check that out tomorrow, and that should be pretty exciting. But for now, we'll be signing off. But also as a reminder, if you haven't played this game before and you're just tuning in, you can still go into the free fly right now, and any of these ships you can just go up to the console, hold F, and then you can rent it for free for 2 days. Enjoy and try out everything you want, no big deal. But if you're joining for the first time, be sure to use somebody's referral code like mine, which is down here in the middle. And that'll give you more currency in game now and also when the game comes out. Alright, so hope to see you guys here tomorrow for the Best in Show ships. And if you're looking for us live, you can catch us on Twitch, darkangel_Scarlet, and hope to see you guys around. Good night, everyone.